Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in today's video, I'm just gonna give a little homeschool update. Just what happened August, September, tell you what we've been working on, some new things that have came up, and what we're gonna do going forward into October, end of September and into October. So first, let's start with the academic side of it. Learn Math Fast Geometry for high school is going perfectly fine. It's not a subject that he's totally interested in. My son's in the 10th grade, in case you're new, and so he's taking geometry. But we really love the Learn Math Fast system, and the geometry is working very, very well. Other thing we just finished is the Middle Ages unit from Gather Round. This was something he was really interested in doing. I'd not had this planned, like to be our main curriculum, but he saw me looking through it and wanted to start the year off with that, and so we just finished this. I will have my complete review, the writing project, how we like the unit, and also how I'm tracking the time, the hours that he spends on this for a credit towards world history for high school. So that should be next week's video if you're interested. So we just finished that. And then my plan was we would just jump into the curriculum that I shared back in April and May. But he's like, when are we going to do the Vikings unit? And I'm like, do you want to do that next? And that's what he chose to do, and I'm fine with that. So going into the very end of September and then into October, we will be working on the Vikings unit. So we did these out of order, but for us, that does not really matter. We use a history timeline from School Nest, and we just plug things in where they go, and that way you can see how everything all fits together. You don't have to do it in chronological order to study history. So we're just gonna plug in everything we need to plug in, and we can see where it all fits in. So we're gonna do this next. And then after that, I think we will jump more into the curriculum that I chose, because I really don't think we have another unit to do, but don't hold me to it. If you watch some of my curriculum videos, I did tell you that come August, we could be different people and we may not be using what I shared with you, and that is very true. So we haven't done it yet. We've jumped into unit studies instead of the more traditional stuff, which is back on the shelf right there. We just haven't got into it yet because we've been so into these unit studies. So you got to follow along to see what we do next. So I did hear that Gather Round was possibly coming out with a small mini election unit just for this year's election. So that might be something I could pair with government. So who knows what we'll be doing. You got to subscribe and stick around so you can find out. So that's the academic side of it. I'm trying to think of what we read aloud. We read King Arthur, and he was excited about it at first, but that ended up not being something he was really interested in. We are continuing to read the Chronicles of Narnia, and we're just now in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and he is enjoying that because that's a series he'd never read. So he's really enjoying that. And so that's what we're just gonna continue working on, even into Vikings, even though that has nothing to do with Vikings. We're gonna keep reading that. That's a read aloud. So let me think of some other stuff that has been going on. So if you've been around, you do know that I also teach his best friend. So my son's best friend actually comes over in the afternoons. And I've been doing that, I guess, for about 2 or 3 years now. I think 3 years now. He comes to my house, I do his school with him in the afternoon, and then he rides to karate with us because they're both in the same karate class. So here's a big change and update for us for this year. So not only do I teach his best friend in the afternoon, I also teach my cousin's 2 sons, or his 2 youngest sons. My cousin actually has 4 boys, and they just had a baby girl. His 2 oldest boys have always been in public school, and they still are, and they're doing absolutely fine. But his 2 younger ones, they're 11 and 13. The 13-year-old had tried kindergarten, and it just did not work out for him. And then the youngest one, the 11-year-old, has never been to school, or into a public school. And so he, right before this school year, he had started a new job, and he was the one that kind of handled all the homeschooling stuff. And he reached out to me and wanted to know if there was any way that I could work with them and just kind of get them caught up. He didn't think that he had done a very good job, but he really did. They're excellent readers, and they are hard workers, and they just try so hard. So now I homeschool 3 extra kiddos. So I have the 11-year-old, and then the 13-year-old. The best friend is also 13, but he's about to be 14. So I've got a house full of boys, and it's all working out okay. So a lot of you are probably like, well, you say you're a homeschooling mom to one. Well, technically I do only homeschool my son in the mornings. He likes to do his work by himself, and he actually likes to have his work finished before they come over. He is a morning person just like me, and he would rather just get his work done so he has the rest of the day. The other boys like to sleep in, and their day starts in the afternoon. So I just get up with my son, we get his day going. He has a few things that he has to work on when they get here because it takes him a little bit longer to do his schoolwork, but he's usually done way before they are. But I love the fact that they're over here because they can go hang out outside together or hang out in his room, and he's got some extra socialization just built in right there during the week. It's good for them and it's good for him. So, and I get to teach some other grades. I'm not just teaching 10th grade. I've got 8th grade and 6th grade going. For them, we're using language arts. We're using The Good and the Beautiful. And then I also found, and I'll link them below, these grammar, I don't guess they're really a unit. They're just these little packets from Teachers Pay Teachers. It's from the Moffat girls. They have excellent resources. The two boys that came to me, my cousin's two boys, were a little behind in the grammar part. While they're great readers, they'd not been officially taught, just sentence structure and verbs and nouns and all those kind of things. And so I've been using their 3rd grade grammar packet to just focus on those skills and get them caught up to where they need to be. And those packets have turned out to be super helpful. So I'll try to remember to link those down below. But we're using also The Good and the Beautiful. Did I say Gather Around? I hope I didn't say Gather Around. We're not using Gather Around with them. We're using The Good and the Beautiful with them with those packets from the Moffat girls. And then they were a little behind in math, and so we're using Simply Good and Beautiful Math for them as well. I just used those wonderful placement tests that they provide on the Good and the Beautiful's website to find out exactly where I needed to put them, and it has worked out perfectly. I can already see, them making progress. And then also for them, I'm using Apologia, the astronomy course, not the high school one, but like the junior one. So we're trying that out because that was something that they were interested in. And then as far as history goes, we're just kind of giving it a go with some of the Who Was books. I want to give away from the Waldock Way. And it came at the perfect time because I was trying to figure out, number one, how could I help my cousin afford this curriculum already? And then I was like, history is kind of extra. He really just wanted me to catch them up in math and reading, but I really feel like you got to have everything. And so I was like, how am I going to teach them history in a fun, memorable way, but not spend a lot of money? And as I thought on that and prayed on that, and I was looking at McKay's, which is a used bookstore, and I was trying to find something I want to give away from the Waldock Way to her shop, and was able to get so many of the units to go with the Who Was, What Was, Where Is books that it worked out perfectly. So we're actually doing the Who Was Harry Houdini right now. They'd never heard of him before, and so we're working through the packet from the Waldock Way and reading that book, and they've really enjoyed that. So I'll link her website. I know you've probably heard of her, but just in case you haven't, definitely check those, check out all of her stuff, but definitely check out the Who Was, What Was unit studies. They go so well with the books. It's not too much, it's not overwhelming, it's just enough to go with those books. And so that has worked out great. And then as far as the friend that comes, he has his own curriculum that his mom purchases for him, and she sends it with him, and I just work with him. So that's my biggest update. The other thing is we have just started a homeschool PE class, and it's really crazy because in our small town, we really don't have a lot of options. And so when our rec department decided to just try a homeschool class, they weren't really sure what kind of turnout they were going to get. We went last week for the first time, and there was over 150 kids. Now, I will say, yes, it was from 2 of the cities that are within our county, but then some came from the county right beside us, but over 150 kids, and since then, more kids have signed up. And I could not believe there was that many homeschoolers in an area. So I'm very thankful to our rec department for starting that up because it was great. It was very well organized. They had them split by ages, and they played like extreme dodgeball, and they had, basketball techniques going on, and they had relay races, and they had a bounce house for the little bitty ones, and we're working on balance and hopscotch, and everything was set up so great. And even though it was raining and we had to do everything in the gym, I know that when we go back this Thursday, because it's every 2 weeks, that with them being able to use the outside, they'll have even more options. And so my son loved it. His friends came and he thought it was great. So that's an extra blessing and gives us something else to do with the other homeschoolers in our community. So that's pretty much the update. Let me know, how did your August and September go? Are you off to a great start? Did you start something and end up using something else? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching.